Hello and welcome to Code with JV and the AI Snapshot number 2. There's been a bunch happening in the last week, so let's see what's new in the world of AI. Have you ever seen an email or social post of like the top 10 tricks for using a prompt of, anyway, throw all that stuff away. Just go straight to the source. OpenAI have released GPT best practices. You can start to see what their opinion is about how to get the most out of the tools, which they're world leaders in. They've got lots of strategies that you can look at, like writing clear instructions and some tactics about how to do that, specifying the steps or breaking it down, asking the model to adopt a persona. You can click on each one. It takes you to a breakdown. If you're using the API, you'll have a system prompt and a user prompt. If you're just using the web interface, just combine them into one prompt, chuck them in there, and you can start to play around with how they suggest you should use these tools. And just ignore all those top 10 prompt lists forevermore. A lot of that guide references this GitHub repo called the OpenAI Cookbook, which is definitely one to have a look around if you want to hit their API. It has got tons of examples about ways of using the API, ways of managing embeddings, how to do web crawlers, lots of different things. It is just a really solid cookbook with quite a dense amount of resources in there. They're incentivized to have people use their API as much as possible, so they're trying to make it easy. This was an interesting thing that dropped from Google in the last week. It is a research paper. You can start to use one image to generate the style you want this model to produce images in. So it's one of those one-shot training systems again, but here you have a watercolor and they've just got lots of examples, which if you can start to have a system which can do this, this is a little bit different from the one we saw last week with NVIDIA's Perfusion or the reference-only things, where you're persisting an image itself. This is about learning the style of an image and generating a whole bunch of images in that same style. If this was in the hands of designers and regular people today, you can imagine the impact this might have on design work. In other news, papers surfaced that MB in New Zealand banned staff from using ChatGPT in March. And the only reason I'm sharing this is that I think a bunch of companies and government agencies are going to limit access to the public models because they're scared of private data leaking into them. They're still making sense of it. Samsung was quite a famous case early on of like staff leaking information into it, which they shouldn't have been doing. So they banned it and started work on an internal LLM. I think there's a really interesting dynamic going on where companies which don't really care what ChatGPT sees of their code base or their ideas will be able to use it fully, and those who don't can't. And I think that might be interesting just to see how it plays out. Over time, I expect we'll start to see the Microsofts and the OpenAIs and the Googles of the world selling private AI services into companies saying, oh, this is a model. No, don't worry. The data never goes anywhere, and selling corporate subscriptions like that. But they're not really out just yet. In the meantime, the open models aren't yet up to speed. So this just leaves a gap for people who are in these environments which don't let them use it, where they just don't get access to these tools. This is an alternative to the model leaderboard I shared last week. This is a Hugging Face one, and it's got more of the larger models, which are more expensive to run in there, but it doesn't include any of the proprietary ones. So you can start to see how this is going. But Falcon has been making the news because it's winning in these leaderboards. It was released recently, and it was under quite a restrictive commercial license. And in the last week, they dropped that license. Apache 2.0, full open source, no commercial restrictions. Hugging Face have got an example of Falcon, and you can start to take it for a spin. Down here, it's got a lot of details about the model, but a demo where you can try it out. And it's no ChatGPT. It's only got 40 billion parameters. So compared to GPT-4's unknown number, which is probably around a trillion or so, and GPT-3's 175 billion, it's going to be lighter than all of them in terms of performance. So it's not there yet, but the idea of fine-tuned models where maybe it doesn't get very good at everything, but it gets very good at a particular task because it's been fine-tuned on some data. I think that is where we'll start to see models which you have full control over in your workplace or environment, is when people start to fine-tune models like this to do useful work for the Samsungs, the Apples, the Envies of the world. And not here yet, but keep your eye on that space. Maybe sometime this year it will get here. I found this paper really interesting, particularly in relation to the models I shared last week, like FastChat and Vicuna, which are living off the ShareGPT dataset. Essentially, they studied this a lot more, and they found that when you train models off the remnants of ChatGPT, then they can imitate the style but not the function. Like they appear more capable than they are because they sound like ChatGPT, and humans can be easily fooled by that. When you really dig into it, there's a massive gap in their capabilities. So I wouldn't expect that model of fine-tuning and tweaking open models off instruction sets that come out of the large, more powerful models to do anything more than put a facade on top of the performance of these models. I found that was a useful counterpoint. This article was interesting. It was an interview with Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, and by the time I got here, it had been taken down. I hunted around for a cached version, found one. Pretty soon that cached version was taken down. I don't know what OpenAI objected to in this content, but I will share the notes that I found in the newsletter at codewithjv.com/newsletter. I don't want to put them in this video because, hey, maybe this video with its tens of viewers will be a threat to OpenAI and they want to take it down too. I didn't find too much in the notes, which I was like, obviously they've leaked something. It was unclear to me exactly which points they objected to. It seemed like a general business update, but it was a bit more revealing than I've heard about OpenAI's plans moving into the future, their current problems with GPT-4 and the impact the shortage of GPUs is having on them, and their view of plugins and how they're landing. So really, I'd be fascinated to know what in that content made them pull this article. Apple had their big conference, forgive the spammy website. It was essentially a non-event for AI. Apple is shipping a ton of AI features, but they're not building a chatbot. They're not making Siri more powerful. There's no big AI announcements. They're just using machine learning to do things like make autocorrect better, make the photos recognize your pet and put them all in a special folder, a bunch of things which just make their products nicer, which is a very Apple thing to do. My mental model is that Google and Microsoft are just going to be going hell for leather, releasing features, very obviously pursuing AI features and using that as a selling point. And Apple's going to be holding way back and coming in at a later stage. I recorded a video yesterday reviewing 3 open tool sets for doing text-to-speech. This company supports one of those tools. And when I played with theirs just to see what was possible with the tech, it blew me away. They are essentially a automated voiceover company. They're very much aiming for the gaming market. They've got computer generating text-to-speech that sounds like,
"Only one of us walks out of here."
"First, put away your sword."
"At this rate, we'll never make it."
these are the voices that come packaged with it. And these are all generated by computers. If we go to my projects, here is one of the characters. I just grabbed them, had the same phrase, but they've got these emotional states. So you can start to make them happy, sad, neutral, etc.
"Why, hello there. How are you today? Why, hello there. How are you today? Why, hello there. How are you today?"
This one I messed with a bit. That hello, that wasn't how it just came out of the box. If you click the advanced editor, you can go into a place where you can drag words. You can even make it more advanced for the phoneme level, change the pitch, change the energy, longer, shorter, mess it around. An amazing tool for voice generation. You can train this on data and have your own things going there. The main reason I share this is just to get a sense about this is a tool that's out there now. Their pricing model is like for $20, you get 4 hours of generation. So it's like small dollar values, but what impact do you think this is going to have on voice artists who record for the gaming industry? Text to speech is one of those areas in AI, which is just getting more resources, getting much better, more powerful. And it's just another tool in the mix, which is going to be causing disruption, but also making high quality voice more affordable. It seems like straight technical advancement causing disruption. I was surprised at how good this tool was for this particular use case of generating audio. All right, that's it for today. Give the video a like, give us a subscribe, codewithjv.com/newsletter if you want it in your inbox. And hey, AI keeps moving fast. Maybe I'll see you again next week. Cheers.